Okay, so now we're ready to basically lay out our script that's going to control the particle motion. And just conceptually, what we're going to be doing is a simple if loop. We're going to say if the particles are equal in age to 0, we want to set the position to the origin of the curve, where essentially the u-coordinate equals 0. So if particle age equals 0, then the target goal is the u-coordinate equaling 0. Now, as a particle ages and gets older than age 0, what we want to do is set the particle position to be equal to that original u-coordinate plus a certain increment. So a random number will basically set. So as the scripted event keeps getting evaluated frame by frame, the particle will slowly travel as the u-coordinate target goal increments, and it'll travel along the curve over the full length. So to begin doing that, the first thing we want to do is actually set a variable to equal the target goal position. So we're going to say set UVWI equal to in particle. So for each particle, we're going to get the attribute. And the attribute that we're interested in is the actual goal UVWI here. Dot value. So this variable is now equal to the actual goal position. And now what we want to do is say if the particle age is equal to 0, then we want to set the u component of that to 0. So if in particle dot age equal to 0, then UVWI dot x equals 0. Now, normally you would put UVWI dot u to represent the u coordinate equal to 0, but in this case, the way the variable is set up, x is equal to u, y is equal to v, and z is equal to w. So you got to keep that in mind for scripting. It's a bit confusing, but once you get used to it, it's fairly straightforward. So we've said now, if the particle age equals 0, then set the target u coordinate to equal to 0. Else, so if the particle is basically older than age 0, UVWI dot x is equal to UVWI dot x plus, So here we can just put a random number that basically we want to increment the u-coordinate by. So I'm going to use 0.005 here. And that's about it. We'll say end if. And now we just got to set the final particle goal position. So in particle dot, actually what I can do is just copy this. So we're just saying the particle position now is equal to the UVWI value that we set here in the if loop. So that's about it. Let's take a look at how that works. Step forward, there's no errors. Let's play that back. So there we go. You can see the particles are following the behavior. And the really nice thing about this is, you could use a deform by curve operator to get the similar kind of behavior. But the thing is, we're within the simulation loop now. So that means that we can apply obstacles, forces, all this stuff works with our motion. And that's not the case with actual deforms, because the deforms are basically just applying a brute transform to the particles. And it's not considering any obstacles and collisions, and you'll get kind of offsetting effects. So it's fairly easy now to get, say, a turbulence force here. Just decrease that a little bit. So we can get all kinds of sort of flocking type effects. And that's essentially it. It's basically to give you a kind of conceptual overview how you can use the goal attributes and actually set them. And hopefully you can experiment a little bit there and get some interesting effects. So that's basically creating spline animation for particles using scripted events.